When we think about nuclear threats, our minds usually jump to missiles, government arsenals, or weapons tests in remote locations. But imagine something much more unexpected. An atomic bomb resting at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, silently waiting. It sounds like something straight out of a thriller, but in reality, it's a lingering risk that many aren't aware of. The bomb in question is not a fictional weapon. It's a real relic of the Cold War, an artifact of a tense, volatile era that still has the potential to cause catastrophic damage if disturbed. The Cold War legacy, a hidden nuclear threat beneath the waves. The Cold War era, a time defined by global tension, political posturing, and an unrelenting nuclear arms race, left behind more than just a political legacy. It also left behind a series of unexploded nuclear bombs scattered across the ocean floor, time bombs still capable of causing disaster if disturbed. The most unsettling part of this story? These bombs were once dropped into the very heart of the Pacific Ocean, and some still remain hidden beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to wreak havoc. A race for nuclear dominance. The Cold War, which began after World War II, was an ideological and geopolitical battle between two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. Both nations, locked in a dangerous arms race, sought to establish nuclear dominance by creating more powerful weapons. As the stakes grew higher, these superpowers were determined to test the limits of their nuclear capabilities. And what better way to test them than by using the vast, seemingly infinite expanse of the ocean? This led to a series of oceanic nuclear tests, a strategy that was as reckless as it was destructive. Both the US and the Soviet Union conducted nuclear tests in the oceans, especially around the Bikini Atoll in the Marshall Islands, a remote group of islands in the Central Pacific. The Bikini Atoll became infamous as the site of hundreds of nuclear bomb tests, many of them under the water's surface. These tests were designed to assess the effectiveness of nuclear weapons in an underwater environment, studying the impact on ships, submarines, and the ocean itself. The dangers beneath the surface. While much of the attention during this time was focused on the immediate explosion of these bombs and their devastating effects on nearby islands, very little thought was given to the long-term consequences of sinking bombs into the ocean. The tests weren't limited to controlled detonations. Some bombs were deliberately dropped into the sea, where they were supposed to detonate in a manner similar to a test explosion, while others were simply lost. This raises the chilling possibility that unexploded bombs are still sitting on the ocean floor, just waiting to be triggered. Over the years, some of these bombs have been lost to time and are presumed to be buried deep beneath the ocean's surface. While we might like to think of them as relics of the past, these weapons still contain enough radioactive material to cause massive devastation. A bomb that was dropped in the 1950s could, under the right conditions, still have the potential to wreak havoc on the environment, marine life, and even human populations today. The risks of radiation and contamination. The thought of nuclear bombs lying dormant in the deep ocean might sound like something out of a dystopian film, but in reality, this is a true risk that hasn't gone away. A big concern is the potential for radioactive contamination. These bombs contain uranium or plutonium, highly toxic and radioactive elements. Over time, the shells of these bombs can deteriorate, allowing dangerous materials to leak out into the water. In the wrong conditions, a dormant bomb could be disturbed, and with it, the nightmare of a radioactive explosion, a global concern. The presence of these nuclear bombs beneath the ocean poses a far-reaching threat, not just for the countries directly involved in the Cold War, but for the entire planet. The Pacific Ocean is a vast and interconnected body of water that serves as the lifeblood of global trade, transport, and climate systems. A nuclear disaster, even one originating in the middle of the ocean, could have ripple effects that impact all nations. Additionally, the cleanup efforts are incredibly complex and expensive. Locating these lost bombs requires advanced underwater technologies and sophisticated equipment to scan vast sections of the ocean floor. Even with the best technology, there's no guarantee that all of these bombs will be found, and the ones that are discovered could be in a precarious state. The risk beneath the surface. When we think about the dangers lurking beneath the surface of the oceans, our minds might jump to massive sharks, shipwrecks, or deep-sea mysteries. But one of the most terrifying and overlooked threats is much more silent: submerged nuclear bombs from the Cold War. These weapons, hidden deep in the ocean's vast expanse, are a constant reminder of the reckless experimentation carried out, a lurking danger in the deep. The scariest part about these submerged bombs isn't just that they're sitting there, it's that they are inaccessible, buried beneath miles of ocean and often in areas that are difficult to reach. Many of the bombs dropped into the Pacific Ocean during the Cold War were meant to be triggered by specific mechanisms. But the ocean floor is not a static place, and a lot can change over time. And the natural movement of the seabed could disturb these bombs, potentially setting off an explosion. Radioactive fallout, a silent threat. Now, let's talk about the real nightmare: radioactive contamination. Even if a bomb doesn't detonate, it's still capable of causing harm. Over time, bombs degrade, their shells corrode, and radioactive materials can leak into the surrounding water. And the ripple effects would extend far beyond the ocean. Coastal communities, dependent on the sea for food and resources, could face serious consequences. And the issue could persist for decades or even centuries, as the ocean's currents move that radiation through ecosystems and food chains. In essence, the radioactive materials that seep out of these bombs, the search for lost weapons efforts to locate and secure these weapons have been ongoing. In some instances, ships and submarines have been dispatched to search for lost bombs. However, the vastness of the ocean makes this a daunting task. Some bombs are located in remote, hard-to-reach areas, and the technology available to locate them is far from perfect. Though underwater robots and specialized equipment have been used to scan the ocean floor, a threat with global implications. The threat posed by these submerged bombs is not just a regional problem, it has global implications. The Pacific Ocean covers a huge area, and a single bomb could cause massive environmental and economic repercussions if triggered. Moreover, the mere presence of these nuclear relics serves as a reminder of how far-reaching and permanent the consequences of war can be. The idea of an atomic bomb sitting silently at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, waiting to strike, might sound like something out of a movie. But the reality is that there are real, tangible risks that remain. As the ocean floor shifts, and as we continue to explore and test the limits of underwater technologies, we may find that the legacy of the Cold War isn't just a chapter in history, it's a persistent, lingering threat. Whether we will ever fully resolve this issue or whether the bombs will remain forgotten underwater is uncertain. But for now, the risk remains, and the bomb at the bottom of the Pacific could go off at any moment. Thanks for watching. Please like the video, press the subscribe button, and also drop your thoughts in the comment section.